What is up guys, this is Vishu from SavageCamp, and in this video we are going to cover exceptions again because I remember I did not cover the keyword finally, which you might be using sometimes, but I'm going to give a very brief explanation about try catch because we have done it multiple times and you might be knowing because this is more like an intermediate tutorial, so I'm expecting you to have used try catch. If you have not, I already have a bunch of programs where I have done that, and also explanation about try catch in the beginner tutorials. So let's go ahead and take a simple input from the user, int of input, and I'm going to ask the user to enter a number, and all we will do is print this number. So if I run this now, it is going to ask for a number. I can do 6, it is going to print 6. If I put in A, it is going to give me an error. So now we have to handle this error. So I will do try this thing, except I will say print number. Oh, this is going to throw an error. So print number except print exception. So we'll just print this out, and I'm going to put in a alphabet again, and it says exception. But here you will see that too broad exception cause, and this is bad programming etiquettes because you want people to read your code. So I will say exception, except exception, and then print exception. So this is again going to give me the same error. So I can do exception as E and put exception and then print out the exception that we got. So if I do A, it will give me the exception invalid literal for int with base 10. Now this is a very blanket cause. What this means is any exception is going to be caught. The good way, if you know what you're doing, is you will say except, and there's a value error that happens when we try to do this. So if I run this now, I'm just trying to show you how I got the error. So you will see a value error over here, and that is how you find out what exception the program is going to throw. So I will undo all my changes, and instead of exception as E, I'll say except value error, and then print value error, please enter numbers. Now this is the right way to do this. So if I run this now and put in A, it is going to give me a proper error message that will tell the user what he or she is doing wrong. The second thing that comes is we'll say two numbers. Let's just take two numbers. So num1 is equal to, instead of taking it in variables, I'll just do print 1 divided by 0. Now this is one of the common things that might never happen, but you can never trust the user. The user would just try to do stuff like this. So it's always better to have precautions so you can catch all these things. So if I try a value error now, it is going to throw an exception which is called zero division error. So I can do another thing. I can put except zero division error. Again, this is all inbuilt, so it will identify what I'm trying to do, and it will print cannot divide by 0. So what this does is gives you a specific error message so everyone knows what is happening. And suppose I am working with files and I have f is equal to, let's create a random file AA, so text, and f is equal to open AA. So this file is now open, and if I'm doing this now, it is going to throw an error. But the problem is this file is still open inside the program, and you don't actually want to do that. Like, this is a simple script with what, 5 lines, but in an actual program or application, it's not going to be this case. You cannot shut down the application because one user put a wrong entry. You have to tell the user what he did wrong, but then you also have to implement other things. Like in this case, f is equal to open is this. At the end, I have to close that file, which is where we use finally. So finally, I'll say f.close. And what this does is, this is going to run no matter where you are. If you hit this exception or if you hit this exception, it doesn't matter, it is going to run it. So print closing file. And this simple thing, let me put it over here at the beginning. So no matter you hit which exception, it is always going to close the file. So that's one thing to remember, that your function, your whole program should not shut down after the error, because that's the whole point of catching the exception, that the user does not bring down your program. So at the end, when the user puts any error, you still have to do other things, and that is what you will put inside finally. So I hope this clears up a bunch of stuff. What I would recommend is, if you're not too sure about which exceptions are going to happen, just use the exception as E and print out the exception. And it's a good practice because you need the user to know what he is doing wrong. So you will see exception divide by 0. I can do a is equal to 1, 2 and print a of 3. And this is going to throw another exception, list index out of range. And I can do print int of a. This is going to throw another exception, which is called invalid literal, and it is not going to go into this. When it fails over here, it is going to hit the exception. This is not going to get printed out. So I think that is it for this video, guys. I hope you understood things. Put an exception on things that you're taking from the user, or you're not sure if the file exists or something like that, and the finally keyword is used to run set of commands that you want to run, irrespective of having run into exception or not. So that's it, guys. I will see you guys in the next video.